Good evening, and welcome to the 2022 annual meeting of the Metropolitan Wilmington Urban League, and I bring this meeting to order. I am Patrice Gilliam Johnson, currently serving as the chairman of the board for the Metropolitan Wilmington Urban League. As many of you may or may not know, the National Urban League was founded in 1911 and currently has over 100 affiliates across 36 states in the District of Columbia. The Metropolitan Wilmington Urban League opened its doors in 1999 by longtime urban leaguers James Gilliam Sr., my dad, and Renee Dujon, along with the support of then Mayor Jim Sills. Since the opening of our doors, the Metropolitan Wilmington Urban League has experienced many highs and a few lows. But I stand here today having the distinct privilege of working with a highly dedicated board of directors, many of whom are founding members, to reach what I believe is one of the highest points in the history of the Metropolitan Wilmington Urban League. In a time of unprecedented national shifts that most notably and negatively impact communities of color, the Metropolitan Wilmington Urban League is positioned to meet the growing needs of its constituencies as it remains razor-focused on meeting its mission of empowering people of color to achieve economic self-reliance, parity, power, and civil rights. Although tonight many of the board members who have served as powerful stewards of the Metropolitan Wilmington Urban League are rotating off the board, we are clear that the Metropolitan Wilmington Urban League is in good hands. Specifically, we believe that it is in the hands of profound thought leaders and innovative, passionate directors who will carry the torch to move the organization to a vital precipice of success and sustainability. We leave this board with 3 recommendations. 1, keep a healthy balance between history and new directions. Often those caught in history focus on the way things have always been done, while many of those who focus on new directions believe wholly in moving forward rather than the appreciation of looking back. Success, however, is built on a blend of respecting the resilient past and moving appreciatively towards an innovative and successful future. Stay connected. Keep in front of you the needs of the surrounding community while maintaining a healthy, informed relationship with the mothership, better known as the National Urban League. Many affiliates have not appreciated the need for this vital connection and have failed miserably as a result. And finally, continue to focus on purposeful action. The power of strategic intention is not just thinking about what you hope will happen, but taking deliberate action to make it happen. It makes the difference in changing the lives of those you serve. In closing, Philip Randolph said that, quote, freedom is never given, it is won. Here's to our continued efforts to win at making equity, power, and self-reliance meaningful in the lives of those we serve. Thank you. With that, I will turn the mic over to Reverend Lawrence Livingston, the Metropolitan Board Fund Development Chair, for our opening prayer.
Let us bow our heads for a word of prayer. Eternal God, we, the members of the Metropolitan Wilmington Urban League, call on your power to carry out your justice and righteousness in the world. This is our call. It is not only divinely inspired, but it is our prayer that is also directed and guided by you. Like the prophet Isaiah, here we are, send us. Send us to help the nation and the world to live up to the belief that all men and women are created equal and endowed by you with certain unalienable rights. Send us to advocate for that life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for everyone. Send us to proclaim that your justice and righteousness means poverty and economic justice can be eliminated. Send us to proclaim your justice and righteousness demands parity of opportunity, economic self-reliance, and civil rights for people of color. Upon our work today, we invite your spirit of justice and righteousness in all that we do. In the name of the one who is infinite. Amen.
Good evening. For adoption of our meeting minutes, our 2021 meeting minutes, our annual meeting minutes, were sent to all board members electronically. I will entertain a motion to adopt those minutes.
I move to adopt the minutes from the 2021 annual meeting.
Thank you. It has been properly moved by Brenda and seconded by Paul. Are there any objections? All right, hearing none. Our 2021 annual meeting minutes have been adopted. Thank you.
We got here much quicker than I thought we would. Could you give me the next slide? Today, we will undoubtedly hear a lot about the work of the Metropolitan Wilmington Urban League and what we do to empower people of color to achieve economic self-reliance, parity, and civil rights. Of course, we would not be able to do all that we do without the partners who resource and support our work. They are listed on the screen, and we are indebted to them. And let's give a round of appreciation for all those that are listed on the screen. Also, we want to always thank our individual donors because it's the work and the energy that sustains us from our individual donors and people who partner with us individually. I want to also thank our board of directors and the work that they do to sustain this organization. And we certainly want to thank our president and CEO, Jennifer Tompkins, and her staff. And as I want to take, I guess, a personal privilege to thank the outgoing president and vice president and the other people that will be going off the board. If I was in church, I'd say, y'all can do better than that. Thank you.
On that note, and the church say, Amen. Amen. My name is Gerald Jeter. I'm here to share the Treasury Report. If you turn to your page of the financials, I will go over the financials real quickly. For the 2022 financial highlights, these are projected numbers because we still have to finish this December. But the balance sheet is the total assets is $633,521. It's up from last year. Last year was about $271,000. So we got some significant assets. Our total liability is $153,000. Most of that is $150,000 in deferred revenue, which in actuality liabilities are really like $3,000, which is very good. Our total equity slash net assets is $480,000. 374,000 of that is restricted, which means that we have money set aside for programs. Cash on hand, which is the most important because cash is king. $630,000 in the bank, all right, which is significant from the previous year, which year was about maybe $374,000. But restricted funds, the 630 is about $374,000 restricted for programming. So we got $257,000 in liquid cash that we can spend on anything, but we watching you. All right. Income statement, gifts and grants, $811,000. Program revenues, $6,000. I'm just rounding. Other income, $4,000, and total income for the year is $821,000. That's total revenues. In the previous year, revenues were about around $631,000. So we went up about almost $190,000 in revenues. Expenses, salaries and benefits, $368,000. Contract professionals, $126,000. Other expenses, $128,000. Total expenses, $623,000, which is about a $30,000 increase from the previous year. Total net income is $198,000, which represents $159,000 increase over the last year. So this organization have done well. The management have done well. The numbers are key to us. So nothing's more important than the numbers. Thank you.
Greetings. On behalf of the Metropolitan Wilmington Urban League Guild, my name is Kari DeWitt, and I am proud to serve as president of our local guild affiliate. The National Council of Urban League Guilds was founded in 1942, and 63 years later, our local chapter was founded here in 2005. At this moment, I'd like to recognize Marion Burt, who was our founding president of the guild and continues to serve us today as treasurer, so I would like everybody to acknowledge her. For those who don't know, the Guild is the volunteer auxiliary of the Metropolitan Wilmington Urban League, and we are committed to further the mission through our events and experienced members. We say experienced or seasoned. We do not like the word old. In 2022, we continue to restore our chapter as we met virtually each month and found opportunities to meet in person as we came out of COVID. We held a pop-up Father's Day event in June to promote small businesses, and we partnered with the YPs on the National Empowerment Day to discuss building wealth through real estate. We had a joint week where we had a discussion on healthy awareness and mental health. And we're proud to say that we currently have 12 members. Thank you, Skip, for being number 11. And we actually received a check today from Crystal, so thank you for being our 12th member. The Guild is considered to be the heart and soul of the Urban League, so we invite each of you to consider being a member with us and helping us in this movement. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kenyon Wilson. I humbly serve as the Young Professionals President with the Metropolitan Wilmington Urban League. And I'm going to run through our report. This year we saw renewed energy in the movement among young professionals. While the majority of the year we continued to meet virtually, we were able to have several meetings and connect with our national chapters. Quickly, just to highlight some of our national initiatives, we had Join Week earlier in the year, followed by our YP Fit, which is our health and wellness initiative. We also had our Vote Coming event, which is our Get Out the Vote initiative, and as well as Corey mentioned, as our National Day of Empowerment. Now, this year also, we several of our members served with the national YPs with the largest regional event that we have, which is the BeastCon Conference. And just to end it off, we began the year around 48 members, and we're finishing out the year of 43 active members with 23 new members coming on this year. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
At this point, we really want to talk about the election of directors. We have a couple of new directors coming on board. We will talk about those of us rotating off. With that, I will turn this over to a discussion of how this process took place, and then ultimately a reading of the biographies of those who are coming on board. Pia?
Thank you. So very quickly, in 3 seconds or less, a slate of the election of new board members was sent through Election Runner. So it took to all members, so everyone voted electronically. And on our new slate, our new board members are Dr. Cindy Till and John Singer. So we'll go ahead and read your bios. Congratulations, and welcome to the board.
Good evening. Dr. Cindy Till, she's a physician with dual board certifications in internal medicine and family medicine. She attended Medical College of Virginia for medical school, and she completed her residencies at Ochsner Foundation in New Orleans. Most recently, Dr. Till completed her MBA at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, and after completing her residency, she came to Cecil County, Maryland, where she practiced for 11 years in private practice, after which she began a leadership track. She went on to become the first female and African-American president of the medical staff and chief medical officer at Union Hospital, which is a role that she had for 7 years. She joined Christiana Care in 2019 as the primary service care leader and also the chair of the Department of Family and Community Medicine, and she left that position at the end of 2021. Currently, Dr. Till serves as the co-founder and CEO of the Delaware Health Equity Coalition, a nonprofit organization focused on addressing and eradicating healthcare disparities in marginalized communities. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Dr. Cindy Till. John Singer. John Singer is Vice President of Integrated Operations for the DuPont Electronics and Industrial business, a $5.5 billion technology leader serving the semiconductor, circuit board, display, digital and flexographic printing, healthcare, aerospace, industrial, and transportation industries. In other words, he's in charge of a lot of stuff. He has global responsibilities for manufacturing, supply chain, environmental health and safety, and investment engineering and customer service. In addition, he oversees more than 6,500 employees located in more than 40 wholly owned manufacturing plants and other offices around the world. John is a graduate of Virginia Tech with a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering, and he is a Six Sigma Master Black Belt. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome John Singer.
Good evening. We also had an election of new board officers, so I'd like to announce them, and please come stand to the left. Our first is our board secretary, Pia Stokes. Our board treasurer is Earl Jeter. Our board vice chair, G. Stephen Williams. And our new board chair, Joel Coppage.
So can we just give them all another? We do want to welcome our two new directors, and also want to welcome in those who have been working with us for some time, who are now taking on new responsibilities. We wish them well. Many of us who've been around the table, how do I put this nicely? We are here to assist where we can, but we are glad for you to help fill our shoes. So we appreciate it all, and am very grateful for all of that. let's see. At this point, what we want to do is move on to the chairperson's award. This person is probably going to be pretty surprised that they get this award. But when I think about much of the work of the league, as I was saying earlier, many of us were brought back to the board. Many of us founding members. So we're going back now since 1999, who at some point made a decision, much to our surprise in many respects, but urged strongly by this particular person to come on board and help us move the league at a time when the league was really struggling and having some difficulty. When I think about my work here, I don't know that I would have been able to have done it without the assistance of this person. She's been a powerhouse for all of us. We also know when she picks up the phone and calls, we start moving because she'll call it like it is. So with that, I present the 2022 Chairman Award to Ray Avery Jones.
So good evening, everyone. My name is Jen Tompkins, and I'm the president and CEO of the Metropolitan Wilmington Urban League. And I have, well, thank you. It's my incoming board chairman, thank you. And I have the distinct honor and privilege to present the 2022 Francine C. Oates Award. Let me first say something about Francine C. Oates. She is here with us. And so Francine, if you do not mind, can you just stand up for your dedication and love to the league? Francine was a long-standing staff member at the Urban League and really embodied the Urban League's mission. And so it is only proper that we do have an award named after you. And it is given to a staff person who has also exemplified that kind of spirit and certainly has embodied the entire mission of the Urban League movement. And I'll just say a little bit about this person. This person came on board shortly after I started in February, and she hit the ground running, making sure that our housing program went to amazing heights, going over and beyond the call of duty to make sure and ensure that all of our clients, our housing clients, were taken care of. And so I don't want to say too much, but she is just absolutely phenomenal, and it is my honor to present the 2022 Francine C. Oates Award to Miss Sharday White.
Again, I have now mentioned this 3 times, so I'll do it again. We are now going to recognize and celebrate board members who are now rotating off of our board. Please, I need you to show a lot of appreciation for these folks. It is rare that folks come in and are around the board for 15 plus years. We weren't supposed to stay that long, right? Most of you all who are rotating off with me know that. But it was really important at a time when we were struggling. I mean, as most 501c3s at some point or another understand, that we got to a crisis point and we really needed to decide, you know, do we make this work or don't we make it work? Ray got on the phone. Anybody knows Ray knows you cannot say no to Ray Avery, Jones Avery. I've known Ray for a long time, and she has been a force. Let's just a positive force. So let me be real clear about that. But she has been very effective and was very effective in bringing us to the table, challenging us in many cases to really think about putting our strategic caps on and figuring out how we were just going to dig in and make this work. And here we are. You heard the report, our budget. We're in a healthy place from a budget perspective. This board that's coming in, I mean, I can't say enough positivity about them. We've all had a chance to work with them, I guess, over the last year. I think we all rotate off knowing that we can do this now and leave the league in very strong, very capable, very creative hands. So when I say, you know, that we're bidding adieu, all of the board knows that we're only a call away. But we turn this over because it's time to turn it over. There comes a point when it's just time. So it's time. I'm going to ask those of us who are rotating on the board to please come up and be recognized. I'll go through the list. Ray Jones Avery, our board vice chair. B.B. Coker. Come up, please. Dr. Paul Herdman and Skip Piniella. Awesome individuals, and I hope that they know that they're strongly recognized and appreciated, because it has meant more than anything to know that I came in and met with these folks and they were so willing to bend over backwards to make it happen. So please show them a sign of appreciation.
And I have the honor of recognizing our outgoing board chair, Dr. Patrice Gilliam Johnson. Dr. Gilliam Johnson is a trailblazer in the state of Delaware, a founder of the Metropolitan Wilmington Urban League, and an example of what a servant leader should be. We are so grateful for your leadership, for your commitment to the movement, and for the example that you've set for all of us. We're looking forward to seeing what you do moving forward, but we know you won't be far away.
Good evening again. Oh, I didn't hear you all. Good evening again. There you go, there you go. Again, my name is Jen Tompkins, and I am the president and CEO of the Metropolitan Wilmington Urban League. I often say that the Urban League is a movement and not a moment. And in 2022, we have been a movement creating impact in all areas. But before I get to that, I'm going to take a few minutes, just a few, just to, one, thank my outgoing chairwoman or chairperson, Dr. Patrice Gilliam Johnson. And so she was extremely instrumental in my success, in our success in this first year. And certainly she knows, I now know where her office is. And we are due for that dinner in 2023. And so I will not be far away, but I certainly just want to publicly stand in front of everyone to say thank you. Thank you for all your leadership. Thank you for your mentorship as we ended out this year. So thank you. I also want to take some time to thank our vice chair as well, our outgoing vice chair, Ray Jones Avery. I often have this great story of Ray. She was the first person to meet me at the office my first day, and she showed me all around Wilmington. And what I like to call is that she's like the mayor almost of the unofficial mayor of Wilmington. Everyone knows Ray Jones Avery. And, you know, recently, about last week, we had lunch, and just the wisdom that she shared over lunch and just how to continue moving and progressing within the league, it certainly has been invaluable to me. And so thank you, Ray. I wanted to publicly say thank you. Yep. And so certainly honored, giving acknowledgement to all of the MWL Board of Directors, and certainly to all of our incoming officers. So our new board chair, Joel Coppage, our new vice chair, G. Stephen Williams, our secretary, again, Pia, and then also our treasurer, Earl, and I'll make sure I take care of those numbers, Earl, I promise you. And so I also want to acknowledge the MWL staff. And so they are here, and I am so proud of the work that we can do together. And so I'm just going to call them name by name. And so Raheem Curry, who is our new youth program manager. Raheem, just wave your hand so folks know who you are. Cheyenne Miller, who is our Building People Power campaigns manager. We also have Kobe Owens, who works in advocacy and also a housing manager. And then Sharday White, who was our senior navigator in housing. And certainly last but not least, Keith Dorman, who is our director of operations and finance. We certainly work together as a large team, or as a small team rather, to make it do basically what it do, and to make sure that we are continually making impact in the city of Wilmington and across the state of Delaware. You know, I often get told, or I often get asked, what does the Urban League do? And so, you know, it's one of those questions where it kind of stumps you a little bit, because we do a lot, right? And so in the words of our national president, Mark Morial, the Urban League does anything that impacts our people. And so I will say that in 2022, we hit the ground running in programs and in also strategic partnerships to make sure, again, that we are making impact. And so I'm excited tonight and delighted to share our 2022 impact with all of you. And so our youth and education programs, we impacted 50 students with our Achievement Matters program, in which they've learned career readiness and also college preparation. And so I certainly want to acknowledge DuPont in the room, who has been a long-standing partner of our Achievement Matters program, and also the state of Delaware, who have given immensely to our Achievement Matters program, and then also under other funders. And I certainly want to also acknowledge with WCEP, the Wilmington Center for Education, Equity, and Policy, Ms. Lynn Howard, and certainly Ray Jones Avery, for this strategic alliance that with the Wilmington Urban League, in making sure that education equity is a reality in the city of Wilmington and across the state of Delaware. And so again, thank you, Lynn and Ray, for the amazing work that you all do, and for making sure that education equity stays at the front of all of our minds within the movement. And so WCEP's work also produced parent advocacy work. And so this was something that was a newer contract for us in 2022. And so we were able to do parent advocacy through the Ombudsperson program. And so, you know, as we know, the statistics show that when young people have mentors, that they are more likely, or advocates, they are more likely to graduate from high school and to also pursue college or any trade school. So advocacy, making sure that we teach and give our parents in the city of Wilmington and across the state tools for advocating for their children is absolutely key. And I do see Tamika Lee in the back here in Trizon LLC that has really done a great job in making sure that we actually invoke and also create those programs so that, again, parents parents are advocating for their children and that we lead closer to an equitable education here in the state of Delaware. And so I also want to mention, and at the back of your annual report, there is the Wilmington Learning Collaborative, our position as a league on the Wilmington Learning Collaborative. And so at MWL, we are in support of the Wilmington Learning Collaborative, providing combined and additional resources to all of our students in Wilmington. And certainly, I don't believe that he's here, but certainly our Secretary of Education, Mark Holodick, has been great in partnering with the league to make sure, again, that the league is at the table when we talk about these equity realities. And so that is what we have done in youth and education. And so we can move to the next slide. I'm so excited to say that our leadership development programs have been on the move and have created amazing results. Over 90% of our Gilliam Fellows have increased their knowledge of Delaware policy change methods and processes. And so many state legislators and change agents are Gilliam Fellows alum, and I'll just name a few: Representative Mimi Minor Brown, Sierra Harris. I don't think she's in the room, but having those voices at the table is extremely crucial, and Gilliam Fellows has been extremely instrumental this year and also in past years in making sure that we do produce leaders in policy in the state of Delaware. I also want to acknowledge Dr. Mika Chester and also Drew Series, who's here, who are our program leaders for the Gilliam Fellows, and they do a phenomenal job making sure, again, that all of our Gilliam Fellows are learning a very, very high-end curriculum around, again, Delaware policy. I also want to acknowledge our Ella Baker program, and so we produced over 20 leaders in 2022 to empower their local communities to be change agents. And so I have seen Ella Baker in its heyday and also certainly in its motion and movement. And it is just a powerful, powerful, powerful program to make sure that, again, not only are the participants empowered, but they're going out and empowering others within the community, which leads to greater change. And so we can go to our housing slide. And so housing, again, we did acknowledge Sharday White for certainly leading the charge in our housing department, and Kobe Owens, who also is in our housing department. And so I'm glad to say that we have impacted over 900 Delawareans with housing services and resources. And then we have given out over $180,000 in rental and utility assistance through our Community Navigator program. And so certainly our Director of Housing is not here. I don't think he's here, Eugene Young, but he has been a great partner with us in that program. We're also really excited about, our wealth building here at the Urban League. So it's just not you come in as a renter. We also know that the gateway to wealth in America is through home ownership. And so we are actually launching, thanks to Discover and JP Morgan and Stepping Stones Credit Union, we are launching a first-time home ownership program in 2023 that will impact 250 families across the state, across the city of Wilmington. We can go to the next slide. And so our advocacy, again, I mentioned Building People Power and Cheyenne Miller, who does a phenomenal job in making sure that our Building People Power program empowers over 1,200 Delawareans on issue campaigns. And these issue campaigns led to the passage of 12 legislative bills on the issues of fair housing, policing, equity in education, and also Black maternal health. And then we also did some great work with Reclaim Our Vote campaign, which engaged over 2,000 people during the 2022 election season. And so certainly want to acknowledge our guild and also our young professionals who rallied with us with the National Urban League for the recent Senate runoff in Georgia. And so our guild and also our young professionals rolled up their sleeves on a Sunday. And we were doing calls to people in the state of Georgia to make sure that they go out and exercise the vote. And this is what, again, speaks to the volume and the reach of the actual Urban League. And if you all have been watching the news, it pretty much turned out in the favor of the Urban League's interests, the result of that election. And so certainly thank you to our YPs and our guild for jumping in when the charge was issued. And then we have workforce. Over 80% of participants in our newly established digital literacy program. And so I see Zakia Ali, who's here, who's the lead of the Delaware IT Council. And she, we were at a program not too long ago, Zakia, right, where, it was discussed that most employers see a gap with digital literacy skills. And so for them, obviously, you have to know how to answer an email. You have to be able to learn how to use technology and have some type of digital literacy skills in order to progress in your career or to even begin a career. And so we charted out to do digital literacy classes, and we had community partners like the POW Center and other centers as well who have came in and opened up their doors to make sure that we are giving digital literacy classes to everyone in the community. And so 100% of these participants were provided with low-cost internet thanks to our partners at Comcast. And certainly they were provided with digital tools, and thank you so much to our partners at Nerd It Now. And then also financial software resources to make sure that they have safe banking practices. And so certainly thank you to all of our partners in that. But again, this was a new program, and one of the, the mission statements from that is that we had one participant who was born in 1943, and she said it was with the Urban League through our digital literacy program where she created her first email address. And so that was impact. And so she's now able to go and to help her grandchildren and her great-grandchildren as they navigate a digital world as well. And then last but not least, we have our community engagement. And so over 1,500 Delawareans were empowered through our community conversation events. And so again, special thanks to Ray Jones Avery, who was our board liaison with those events. And so we did events on health, racial equity, and also economic empowerment. And then we also did virtual candidate forums. And so through that, we were able to reach, again, over 1,500 folks through virtual platforms and also in-person programming. I certainly want to acknowledge Aaron and Delaware Humanities that's in the room, who were our funders for those community conversation events. And they were extremely successful, and we're looking to continue moving that along even in 2023. And then we also had our digital imprint, which was increased from 60% over to 1,200% on digital and social media platforms, which allows our mission to reach much further. And these are on all of our platforms, so the increase was anywhere between that, depending on the platform. And I'll, end on this. Again, we're not a moment, we are a movement. And just to see how much our movement has gone and how much the digital age has taken us much further, we had a TikToker come into our office and who recorded a video and told the whole world that the Metropolitan Wilmington Urban League can help anyone pay their rent. And so we received close to, I think about, Kobe, it was about 600 calls into the office because folks as far away as California wanted the Urban League to pay their rent. And so what we gladly did is connect them to an affiliate in their area. But I think it speaks to the volume and the reach in which the Metropolitan Wilmington Urban League has had in 2022. And again, we are not a moment, we are a movement, and we are looking forward to a great 2023. And so that concludes my report.
Thank you, Jennifer. Being 6'5" has advantages and disadvantages. One of the disadvantages is coming behind short people. I'm just kidding. My wife is only 5'1", so I'm kind of used to this. Okay. Let me start first by saying God is good. And all the time. Let me say that again. God is good. And all the time? Amen. Amen. I wanted to start first by saying that because there isn't anything that I do in my life that I don't put God first. When I wake up in the morning, I'm happy that I'm in my right mind. And I see my wife, and she's in her right mind. And I check with my kids and grandkids to make sure that they're all well. Then and only then can I have peace of mind to start my day. I wanted to say that because I believe that that's what this country needs to do. We need to be more focused on how we go about living on our lives and starting our day. But before I jump into what I got to say, I want to first acknowledge Jennifer's parents that I had an opportunity to speak to. Could you please stand? Mr. and Mrs. Tompkins, please stand. Thank you for your daughter. We are pleased that she made the trip down I-95 to join us. She's been wonderful. I'm sure you're so proud, and we are so proud and glad to have her lead our organization. And I want to just say to the outgoing folks, board members, and our wonderful chairperson, your work's not done. I wrote a note, advisory committee. In a serious note, thank you. Thank you for everything. Patty mentioned that they came back under some difficult circumstances. I, too, got a phone call from an individual that you can't say no to be a part of this organization. And in my mind, I really didn't know much about the organization or where the organization was in its own life cycle at that time. No more, I don't know how long it was before I got there that the CEO, Eugene Young, left the organization, and that took us into another little tailspin in terms of leadership. That's when Patty and I had a conversation about transition and asked me to head the transition committee. And I reluctantly said yes. BB's back there laughing. I said yes because I said reluctantly because I just knew how much energy and time this was going to take. And I'm already engaged in a lot of other things. So I said, you know what, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And we were fortunate, thank goodness for Ray Jones Avery, who's got her hands in everything, who identified a person for me to contact. Bill Clark, our previous interim CEO from Rochester affiliate, came in, him and I met. We had some mishaps on coming in from snowstorms and so forth and so on. But we met and we got together and we met on a regular basis. He would come down every week from Rochester, drive or fly. He and I, along with Ray Jones Avery and others, would meet and we would go through what we needed to go through to understand exactly where we were, have conversations with our treasurer, guidance from our leader about what we needed to do. And it was a situation where, you know, I'm a financial person. I'll just say we had some challenges. Anybody who understands cash flow knows that, you know, what a negative cash flow situation looks like. And we were very close to being in that situation. But God, and I say again, Bill Clark and his leadership, 30 years he was the CEO of Rochester, landed in our lap. A year ago, he was the one standing here having this president's report in Jennifer's place. And I say that because it's important to understand where you are and how you got here. You know, we stood on the shoulders of we stand on the shoulders of some great leaders from the Metropolitan Wilmington Urban League. James Gilliam Sr., founder, the current president of Delaware State University, Dr. Tony Allen, Congresswoman Lisa Blunt Rochester, Eugene Young, who's now at the Delaware State Housing Authority, and our wonderful outgoing chairperson, who you're sitting in her house, who runs this on behalf of Delaware State University. I say that because this organization, as Patty mentioned, has had its shares of highs and lows, but one thing remains true, that this organization is steadfast, unmovable in its quest to provide a voice for the voiceless, and stay true to its mission, more importantly, no matter how rocky, or I'm looking at Reverend Livingston about being in the valley or the mountaintop. You're going to have valleys, and you're going to have the mountaintop. And somewhere along the line, you're going to be finding yourself in one or the other. The question is do you stay true to who you are? The answer to that I got, this is my second or going on year number 3, I believe, of being with this organization. The organization never lost sight of what the mission is. We had some strong conversations on the board. Matter of fact, before I move forward, I would like to recognize all the board members that are here today. All board members that are here, please stand. All board members. That's right, Johnson. The new board members too. Thank you, thank you. Board members are the ones that's providing the guidance and the direction to make sure that we stay in compliance. Follow my governance person over there. But it's important to understand that the mission today is the same one that had yesterday, last year, and the year before. Never lost sight of that. I think maybe Reverend Livingston mentioned the actual mission, and I like to always go back to that. The mission says to empower people of color to achieve economic self-reliance, parity, and civil rights. I read that all the time just to keep myself locked in on what we are here for. And the one word I go back to in that is parity, more than anything else. Fancy word for saying equality. That's all it means. And why is that so important to the Metropolitan Wilmington Urban League? Because the field has not been level. We don't have parity. And if you must not be awake if you have not been paying attention to what's going on in this country to not understand that. This is where the Metropolitan Wilmington Urban League steps in. There's only one thing that I can think about when I think about the importance of making sure we're holding people accountable, our elected officials, anyone and everyone, which is why we did the Wilmington Collaborative letter and positioning, is to let them know we're watching. We're here. We're not going anywhere. And we have to be that. This country and where we live, now more than ever, I can remember all of us. I'm not going to get preachy up here, although Reverend Livingston knows I'm a Baptist kid, so we can go on and on, but I promise I won't do that. We know, I can remember 60s and 70s and some more earlier than that, of what we were all going through and thinking that, man, things have got to get better. And for a while, we kind of felt that things had got better. You know, there was 2 words that when I started in my business in corporate America that was thrown out to me over and over again. Affirmative action. That's going to be the level. That's going to level the playing field. That's going to make it equal. You just wait and see. Now they're trying to take affirmative action away. If the Metropolitan and the National doesn't stay focused on what's going on and what's happening, it'll be things like affirmative action, civil rights, equal rights, economic reform. I don't care what you want to say or what you want to call it. It will be the opportunity for it to be stripped and for us to start back at square one. My motto is, no challenge, no change. That's our challenge, and if we wanted to change, it's on us. That's what we're here and designed to do. So let me run through. I wanted to say thank you to the outgoing board members and all the board members, but particularly to the outgoing board members. I really got to spend a special thank you to Ray Jones Avery. Because Ray, she can be like a gnat, sometimes. You know how you swat the gnat and they just keep coming? And he's like, man, you just walking in it. And then I said a positive thing because she's on me to make sure that I understand what I'm supposed to understand. Patty was good about giving that direction. This is what y'all need to do. And that was great because as a leader, she didn't get in our way. She just said, y'all figure it out. But Ray was what a vice chair, Stephen G. Williams, where's Stephen? Is he, okay, I'm looking at you, nephew, as what a vice chair does. She didn't miss a finance committee meeting, Earl, right? She's there. Every transition meeting, she's there. And she takes you right back to the bylaws about what you can and cannot do. So I had to have a lot of patience with Ray because she really made us toe the line, and that's what's needed. So special thank you because, Ray, I would not be able to be standing here saying what I'm saying and doing what I'm doing with this organization if it had not been for you really educating me about the Urban League. So thank you very much. Okay. So what were some of the things that this organization guided us through? I'm not going to go through some of these things you already heard. We hired the transition team. By the way, I talked to Bill today, Bill Clark. I really did. And he was excited. He said, is it live? I said, no, it's not live, but it'll be on, is it going to be on YouTube or whatever? I'll let him know. He was very excited about where we are and how we are, what we're doing. We had a search committee that hired a permanent CEO, increased our focus on fundraising. I said, landed the plane safely for Q4 2021. What did I mean by that? In 2021, we had, it was a make or break situation for us. We were either going to make it or we were going to be just short, and it was going to be really tough in terms of being able to say we're going to be on the plus side going into the next year. And we did, and it was hard. And something like this is not supposed to be easy. It was very difficult, but it took a lot of people coming together to be able to say, we're going to do this. Paul is another one who was with us in those transition discussions. I don't want to leave you out, Paul, because you were really valuable about your insight and about the guidance you were providing us that enabled us to be able to say, here's the forecast. This is what we need to do. We landed that plane. We ended with a surplus. And then we launched. Jennifer got hired, and we never looked back in 2022. We have financial stability. You saw the strong balance sheet and the strengthening of the board with 6 new board members that have been added in this year alone. That's strength. Patty and the outgoing board have left us in a very good position. Give them a round of applause, please. This is exactly where we want to be. The question is, are we going to take this ball and we're going to run it down the field and score and score? Or are we going to fumble and have to recover?
Or are you going to have Ray call you and tell you you're going to fumble?
Y'all hear what BB said? Ray's not going far. I got her number. BB. Next slide. So going forward, what can you expect from me? The mission and the vision remains the same in alignment with the National Urban League. We will be in compliance because we have Brenda Wise watching every step we take. And I love her for that because I came out of a corporate environment where compliance is everything in healthcare. So I'm really used to that. So my first one-on-one meeting was with Brenda Wise. Ensure the board meets its obligations and fulfill its governance responsibilities. Again, we will make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. Motivate the board members to actively participate in and attend meetings. What we need is not only your treasure, but that's important, but we need your time. We need you to be in the moment, present, actively engaged and involved in what we do with your committee assignments. Don't go through the motions. If that's the case, we don't need you. I'm that kind of guy. We don't. What we need, say what, Patty? I'm not going to scare them. I'm giving them reality. Reality is we need you to play in the game. Get engaged. Get involved. Serving as the primary point person for the organization CEOs, me and Jennifer will be talking on a regular basis. Support fundraising by leading with examples. I plan to be wherever you need me to be, Jennifer, with whoever we need to talk to, whenever we need to talk to them. Last year, Patty and Bill and Ray landed Longwood Foundation. There was a strategic plan to make that happen. Reason why we landed it plane was because you landed that. We will do the same exact thing this year. Representing the organization and speaking in front of the press and media, something that I'm accustomed to. This bullet here, work closely with board members to ensure we have a unified and consistent approach. I was a ball player in college, and the locker room was sanctuary to us. We could fight all we want in that locker room amongst each other, even in practice in a closed-door session. But our coach had one thing he would say to us: what we say here and do here stays here when we leave here. That's what we have to do at the Urban League. It's okay to challenge each other in a very professional way. It should be encouraged that we have a very diverse group, differing opinions. That's good. We need to hear everyone's opinion. We need to know what you're thinking. But we also need to know that when it's all said and done, and we all come to an agreement on where we're headed, even if it's one that you didn't agree with, we're unified. And that means when you go out in the public, you're unified. We don't need to hear chirping from the cheap seats over here on the left or to the right that says, we don't need that. That doesn't work for an organization. If we're going to be unified, let's be unified. It's okay to disagree. But when we get done, we agree to be unified. Providing insight as needed and ensuring board members are on the appropriate committees and projects. Let us know if there is a committee that fits your specific skill set or one you just desire to do or be on. If we have an opening and it's available, we want you there. We do. We need help on our finance committees. I'm already going to make a plea for Earl. We do. We have a shortage. Skip is coming off Skip has been my, I got to call Skip out. Because Skip will call me all the time about, and I know how it always starts with, you want to go for a coffee? Okay, that means I'm going to get a wisdom talk. A whole wisdom conversation is going to come out of this, but it was always in the best interest of the organization. So Skip, I love you for that. Appreciate you. So if there's something that you have in mind, let me know or let us know. More importantly, thank you for your confidence in selecting me as your chair and all of the officers. We pledge to do 100% of what we need to do. We are following in some huge footsteps, some giants' footsteps, but that's good. We'd rather have that. We have some strong people with some strong opinions, like B.B. Coker, who will let you know when you ain't stepping right. She'll probably will still, BB, I still want to hear from you. Still want to hear from you. Our job is to make sure that we now have the ball moving in the right direction, that we continue to move that in that direction. So that's what I have to conclude with. I want to end it by saying this. You can't lead people if you don't love people. You can't save people if you don't serve people. Our job is to lead and serve. God bless you. Thank you.